right, so we are going to start the meeting. And we will go ahead with the roll call, and then afterwards we will catch anyone whose name we didn't call. Kelly.
Here.
Barb Long. Audrey Miles. Joe Coffin.
Here.
Craig Boynton.
Here.
Hannah Fuchs. Dave Peters. Terry Patton. Allison Borland. Tracy Dowell. Shannon Peterson. Megan Brake. Alicia Dahl. Tyler Rogers.
Here.
Aaron Howlett. Alexander Maxwell. Tom Harper.
Here.
Jody Scott. Here. Lance Randall in place of Angel Mormon.
Here.
Shamma Robinson. Kylie Rathman. Chris Mitchell.
Here. On phone.
Okay. Connie Shine. Jim Bremner. Greg Cassidy.
Jim Bremner's not here, but I am for him. Joel Ward, Washington Township.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Sharon's here. Should I have a quorum in person? If that is all right, we can move forward. So let's see, we haven't mentioned, so we've got Melissa Manuel from IDOT. Corey next up, Sad, and also Jared Arden from Steiner Village. Missing one person. Thank you, so. We thank you. Minutes. Got Lily Ward from Washington Township. Then there's Andrew Davis, and you're from IDOT, correct?
Hello, yes, Andrew Davis from IDOT.
All right, welcome. Hello, you just joined us on the phone. Could you just say your name and who you represent? We've got Carrie Anderson. Remind us where you're from, Carrie.
Hi, my name is Carrie Anderson. I'm from Stonehays. We're in Knox County, Warren, and Henderson.
All right. Aaron Crutcher from Tri-County. Did I miss anyone else on the phone or online?
I'm on the phone. I don't know if you caught mine earlier. Joel Ward for Washington Township.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So moving forward to agenda item number 2, which is public comment. Do you have any public comment here today? All right. Oh, so the third one is approval of the June 3rd minutes. We can't approve these today because we don't have physical quorum in the room, but does anyone have any comments or questions, edits for the minutes? So we will table that until next time. And so now we have a presentation, and let me share the presentation now.
I'll come up here. Hopefully those online can see me as well.
We're not a clicker, but if you want to use the mouse, you can, or just let me know when to go.
I'll just let you know if that's okay. So nice to meet everyone. My name is Corey Scott. I am one of 4 co-owners of a small business in Woodford County called Farm Family Foods. We operate an independent grocery store, which has 1 physical storefront, and we also serve 8 rural communities with fresh food access, weekly grocery deliveries. So if you can go to the next slide. We've been building this business out for several years now. Starting primarily as online ordering and sales, and then also building all of our network of local farmers. So we now have a network of about 125 local producers by the USDA definition, which is within 400 miles of Benson, which is our where our physical storefront is located. So if you're familiar with Woodford County, we're Roanoke Benson School District. And then we also have 35 what we have named hyper local vendors. So those are within 40 miles of Benson. Those are primarily farmers, some producers of personal care products, some are doing value added products, so not just food production, but actually doing baked goods or others that they're producing in commercial kitchens. We have 8 communities that we're currently serving. We just added our 8th, which was Germantown Hills, 2 weeks ago. And then, as I mentioned, we have 1 physical storefront in Benson, which opened at the end of June. So on the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about our story. There we go. So my sisters and I'm in the middle of 3 sisters and mother. So we're a 4 women-owned business. We took over management of our farmland just outside of Benson, about 80-acre farmland, in 2021 from my grandparents. And we had been connected to the agricultural community for years, connected to rural communities our whole lives. But we kept realizing that, like, why can we not walk in the field and eat what's being produced? Why can't we feed this to people? And so when we took over management of our farmland, we want to do something just a little bit different. We do still keep about 72 acres in grain production, so corn, wheat, and soybeans. But we've converted 8 acres to vegetable and fruit production. So we've got perennial vegetables, perennial fruits, and then we do a number of root crops like potatoes and beets and turnips and carrots. So when we started to do that, we started to network with other local farmers, exchanging information, trying to figure out how to do this, where do you sell your stuff? And we were lucky enough to connect with a network called Down at the Farms, which primarily sells up to restaurants and chefs in the Chicagoland area, also down in St. Louis, up to Champaign, here in Peoria, a number of restaurants. So really that farm to table movement was growing. And as much as we loved growing food for people, we didn't love seeing it go to these communities that were far along, and we weren't feeding our own people, we weren't feeding our communities. So we decided to sort of turn that model, the distribution model, on its head. And we realized when you're sending a truck one way to a distribution center full of food that's gonna go to Chicago, we can also fill that truck up and bring it back to our community, and we can sell that locally. So we created this online business model where we have weekly grocery orders and weekly grocery pickups. Again, it's expanded now to 8 communities. And then in the middle of all of that, we decided to buy a grocery store in Benson, which was has been quite a labor of love to renovate that building, which was dilapidated for, we think, at least empty for at least 10 years, but it has not had a retail storefront for at least 30 years. So if you go to the next slide, I can share a little bit more about what our vision is we really want our food system to be as localized and as real to the relationships as possible. We want to build networks of farmers. We want eaters to know their farmers. We want to reconnect people to the food system. And so that's what we've been trying to build through this relationship building over the last several years. And the next slide goes into a little bit more detail about what communities directly what products we're offering. So because of our hyper-local farmers, we have a tremendous number of seasonal goods that are available. So fresh produce from local farms. We've got a number of different proteins that are available. You name it, and we now have it sourced locally. And beef of all different varieties. If you like the grass-fed beef or you like the grain-finished beef, we've got that too. We've got rabbits, lamb, pork. We also have a number of local dairies that we're partnering with. Kilgus Farm Stand out of Fairbury is our primary dairy. So we've got yogurts, we've got cheeses from Champaign, we've got all sorts that fit that local definition. We have a number of canned goods. Again, I mentioned some of those value added products that people are pickling. They're doing sauerkrauts, hot sauces, salsas, all with local ingredients. And then we've also built out a larger network of that other USDA definition of local, which is within 400 miles, which is where we start to build in some of the baking needs like bulk flours and sugars and spices. We have coffee and tea that is available and roasted locally. Of course, we don't grow coffee in central Illinois, but we do have it processed locally. And then I mentioned personal care products and local artisans. So on the next slide, you'll see the list of communities that we are currently serving. Oh, excuse me, my slides are out of order. I just wanted to reinforce, there's a lot of people who don't know the whole value proposition of buying locally and supporting locally. I think there's a number of pieces here, but I'll draw your attention to the did you know. This is where the economic case for supporting locally, I think, is most clear. For every dollar that we spend locally in our communities, that generates up to $1.90 in economic activity that stays right there in that community. When we shop at a big box store that's not in our town or not even connected to us, only 11 cents of our individual dollar stays here at home. So when you're supporting local businesses, you're not only getting some of the freshest, most nutrient dense foods because it hasn't been picked and is ripening hopefully in a box while it's shipped from Mexico. You're picking it at its ripest point and delivering it locally. You're also supporting all of those other small businesses. All of those farmers are small businesses in and of themselves. And so we always tell people when you're buying from Farm Family Foods, you're supporting this network of hundreds of small businesses. And then also reducing shipping miles. We're also creating jobs locally that we think is really important, especially for rural communities. And most importantly, in our mind, having grown up and been raised in small town America, there's a character there that it's easily lost when we don't reinvest in it. When we don't continue to keep our small communities thriving, they die. And so we feel very excited that we're reinvesting in Benson and also these other communities that are benefiting. So the next slide, I believe, is where I'll tell you the specific communities where we are supporting. So we have online ordering system. Think of it like a farmer's market, but all of it's online and it's available for you. So it's not a CSA model where you get whatever the farmers are, choose to make available. You can select all of your own products, only buy the things that you want. So the online model, then we have weekly pickup spots in Benson, Eureka, Germantown Hills, Gridley, Minonk, Roanoke, Washburn, and Washington. We've prioritized a number of locations that are also rural food deserts like Benson has been, but a number of other places are just convenient drop-off points. So, and have had interested customers. Finally, we opened our storefront in Benson. We just decided to try to make that accessible 4 days a week. So we have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon. The rationale for opening the storefront is really so that we're giving farmers more than once a week a chance to sell their products. When they're only selling at farmers markets, I grew up going to farmers markets and you load that truck and you hope to God that you sell everything because coming home with a loaded truck, there's nothing worse. So our hope is that with a 4-day model, we've got farmers who are delivering fresh products every day. They're harvesting green beans that morning and we're selling them that afternoon. So we're turning over a lot of product, giving farmers more access and also making it available for the community. And then finally, we really want people to help us spread the word on what's available, what people can access, what the health benefits are to them, what the rural economic benefits are to them. So we have a presence on both Facebook and Instagram, and then of course our website. And we do a weekly newsletter where we introduce people to recipes, maybe products that they've not used before, new farmers that have joined our network. And then I think the last slide, Neva, and then I will pause for questions, is just to show you that this is really a representative map. It is not at all accurate to the number of farms or the number of connection points, but there are two major partners that we work with and rely on very heavily. The first is Think Regeneration, which is actually based out of the Quad Cities. They're a nonprofit organization that has been supporting a lot of farmers who are moving toward a regenerative model. They're actually in collaboration right now with the OSF Cancer Center, looking at food as medicine. program that's really taking off and it's very promising and exciting. So we partner with them on a number of different ways. And then down at the farms is the network I mentioned when we initially started selling. That's where we were selling our product to. And that's also kind of the hub of 100+ farmers across the Midwest that are selling into that model. And that's where we're tapping a lot of those products as well. And I think that maybe go one more slide for me, if you don't mind. Yeah, so this is our contact. I had intended to have beautiful pamphlets for you today, and I went to the store last night and then brought a different vehicle today, so you don't get a handout. But this is the contact us slide. You can certainly call or send us an email, check us out online, and let us know if you have questions. If we have time, I'm happy to take questions today and answer any logistics questions for you or other growth opportunities. But yeah, thank you for letting me share a little bit about what we've been doing in Woodford County, primarily Woodford County over the last few years.
We've got time for questions if anyone has any.
Do you participate in accepting any of like the WIC coupons or senior farmer market coupons?
So we could not apply for SNAP and EBT until we have a physical storefront.
Okay.
So because we were not a farmer's market, we didn't qualify for those credits. But once we opened the physical storefront last month, we finally got all of our applications in. So we're now waiting for the USDA to approve us to be SNAP eligible. And we're very excited about that. I mentioned those two partners. We collaborated with them. You may all have heard about the Illinois Eats grant. It's through the local food purchasing assistance. We were one of the distribution partners for them. So we had 50 families coming out of Benson, El Paso, Washburn, where we were supporting them with about $100 worth of fresh food, local groceries every week. That was a wonderful grant program administered by the state, funded by the feds. Unfortunately, that program did get cut. So we've got a lot of families who've gotten quite dependent and really excited about eating locally and eating fresh that we're hoping SNAP and EBT will allow them to get back in.
I know here in this group, we talk a lot about transportation, seniors. So have you seen, we collaborated with any groups that help get to seniors or folks who have trouble leaving their homes?
That's been on our radar as we built this out, especially the physical storefront. Benson is a relatively elderly community, and many of those family members have been without food access for years. They rely on family members to go shop for them and bring it back, and if you don't have that, then you're in a tough spot. So Benson, we have seen a huge in the last month since we opened, we've seen a huge number of people coming that are walking to the store, that are riding their motorized scooter to the store because it's within 4 or 5 blocks of their home as opposed to a 9-10 mile drive. We actually have one of our employees who is handicapped and also Medicaid reliant, and she scooters her way to the store. So we're very excited about that. So we have been talking a lot about a delivery system that would be accessible to especially elderly community members in those eight communities. Right now, it is a single pickup spot in those 8 communities that we serve. So once a week, you come pick up your groceries from that spot. The other thing that we feel like we have a bit of a hurdle on is we are primarily doing online with that model, and not all of our elderly community is excited about doing online shopping. And so it's a little bit of a conundrum of how do we get to them, deliver to them, but also support them in making their selections. So it's definitely something that's on our mind. It's one of the reasons we were so excited to talk with all of you. If you have ideas, if you have big communities or organizations we should be working with, tapping into, please do let us know. It's something that's on our hearts and on our minds for the business as well. But we haven't quite cracked that nut. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. So when you first started this process, does this fit the vision of what you were thinking? Has it changed with how you've experienced?
Yeah, great question. It has evolved quite a bit, but it's always been centered in 2 things: community and really supporting people close by us, and farmers. Again, we grew up in actually my sister and I grew up in Galesburg, but my parents are Woodford County kids. And we grew up running a CSA, selling at farmers markets, and it's a wonderful thing. And it's also really, really hard. When you have one day a week that you get to sell your products, you hope things are ripe, you hope things are not too ripe, you hope you sell. So I was a high school kid, so of course I had attitude about it. But, I'd wake up at 3 a.m. on Saturday mornings and we'd harvest, and then we'd go to Peoria, we'd come to the market, we'd do all these things. And we said, when we started farming again, that's not the model we want to do. We want to build something that's truly sustainable for farmers and makes it so that families, especially farming families, want to stay in it, that their kids look at it and go, that's cool. I can grow that and I can sell it right here. We want people to be excited about it for future generations. So it has evolved quite a bit as various opportunities have presented themselves, but it's always been rooted in supporting our community and supporting farmers. And so, yeah, it feels, we took a little bit of a deep breath after we had our grand opening at the end of June, and now we're back in it, going strong, and hoping to expand. All of you will recognize this as transportation connected folks. One of our largest hurdles to expanding to more communities is transportation, is a refrigerated vehicle. Right now, we transport primarily in a minivan with really high pumped AC, and we keep things as close to the health, health code standards we can as far as transporting fresh food. But if we had a refrigerated vehicle, we could really think about that differently and expanding the model. So that's one of the hurdles. And then, as I mentioned, the technology and the receptiveness to the technology is another hurdle we've got in front of us. We're not scared of those hurdles, but again, happy to, if you have ideas or thoughts, you're welcome.
Great. So I know anyone who was here at the last meeting, back in June, we had a speaker from an urban grocery store. So this is kind of like the other side of the whole picture. And at least personally, I see there's of course big differences because there's different types of clientele, but the similarities to me are really you need partners.
Yeah.
Regardless. So you've got statewide partners, which is great. And connections, things like SNAP and EBT is it's really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. We're very excited about it. We think this is a sustainable business model, to be honest. We knew Benson alone, as a community of 450, would not be able to sustain a grocery store, which is the reason we built the online model as we were renovating the building. And the online communities together with the storefront sales in Benson, do seem to be somewhat successful so far. And again, we hope to be able to expand the model because people, I think after COVID, had a bit of an eye-opening on where your food comes from and how far away it comes from, and how many potential hiccups in that chain can happen. So we hope to remove as many of those hiccups, as many of those miles as we can.
Have you had any other individuals contact you about possibly copying your model?
We have, on that map I showed, I listed a few partner food hubs that are doing something similar. There's a group up in Ladd, so kind of Ottawa, Ladd, Grand Rapids, or Grand Ridge area that is doing a similar model where they've got a physical, theirs is more of a market stand, but they also have weekly deliveries to various community sites. There's one in Pembroke Township that is evolving really quickly and growing. And then also one in Peoria. Blood and Matah is a nonprofit that we partner with. They're on the south side of Peoria, and they've started to do some weekly grocery distribution. They also grow quite a bit and also sell into the market, into the network I was mentioning. So we're seeing a lot of replication. Also, this replication is happening nationally. Like, this is not something that's super unique to Central Illinois. We feel like we are a bit on the leading edge of where this local food movement is going. But there's a lot of energy behind this. So yes, we are curious to partner with people. We're curious to hand the model off and see it replicated. And also there's a lot of other people we can partner with and connect with to keep growing it.
I can see this being beneficial in smaller communities around Gilbert, because I'm from Gilbert, and
Okay.
I serve on a hunger collaborative, and we talk about like the food desert, like Abingdon and areas like that.
Well, I think you had an urban, food desert speaker in your last presentation. I think so many people think of food deserts as an urban problem. When you look at the numbers, rural food deserts are actually more significant, more prevalent, I should say. And so it's something that, again, has always weighed on our hearts, that if you were lucky enough to grow up with it, your grandma taught you how to grow beans or raise tomatoes and, you know, hopefully raise a little livestock on the side so you got some protein. Great, not everybody has that. And especially in the last 10 years, the rural urban mix has changed so significantly that people even in rural areas don't necessarily have the rural skill sets that a lot of people do. So we want to be able to close that gap. Well, I know I've taken probably a little more time than expected, so thank you all for your questions. You'll have the information. I believe you're going to share this back in a minute. So you'll have our email, our contact information. If you have ideas or people you think we should talk to, please reach out. We're very excited about this. This is a side hustle for all four of us. We all have full-time jobs on top of the grocery store. But we're very excited about continuing to grow it. So let us know.
Have you seen any interest or movement towards people wanting more organic food, less chemicals?
Yes, and we also have seen that there still continues to be a bit of a backlash on some of that too. Some people think, oh, the organic food is trying to shove something down my throat that I don't want, right? Did mine for my dad, my grandpa, and I want to be fine. However, we have a lot of people who come to us saying, I've got significant health issues. My kids have significant health issues. I've got a gluten intolerance, celiac disease. You know, so people are coming to us for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's the organic, less chemicals. Sometimes it's strictly the local economic value proposition that's the motivator. And so we are trying to be a place that's open to everybody, no matter what your motivation is, to shop here. And we try to make sure our signage and our labeling is really clear. So if you're coming at it for a local value proposition, then you know when you see that hyper local stamp on the sticker, that's what you're going to buy. If you're coming at it from an organic or less or regenerative or less chemicals, that's also very clearly labeled. So we try to make it, you know, sort of a rising tide will raise all ships, is our hope. But yes, we definitely are seeing an increase in that. And that's part of my personal motivation for a lot of this. When we've transitioned to less chemicals on our farm, we have a lot of family history of medical issues that I believe are more environmental than hereditary. And so I'm hoping I can turn that side. But not everybody believes in all of that. So we try to be open to everybody.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you all. Really appreciate it. I probably will sneak out just because I have another call for my day job. But again, you have all my contact information and really appreciate your time. Thank you. And thanks for all you do. Very interesting.
I can follow that. But we will move on to provider and agency updates. And if all right, we can we'll just start this way. So my left to my right, and then we'll head online. So Allison, if you have anything you'd like to share with the group?
Nothing as you know, but I did go to my first steering committee meeting for Martinville. They're going to update their walking paths and sidewalks and everything like that. So we've got that meeting. We have one more, I think, in September before we do our open house. Thanks.
Great. All right, Jared. Shannon, nothing new. All right. How are you doing?
No, got my bus back.
Oh, that's
That's
it.
finally figured it out.
Thank you.
Got the bus back.
All right. Well, okay.
Not a lot new, but I'll just go through my list of things I've been kind of talking about. So all the vehicles have been delivered, for the last round. We still don't have a date on the next application for CVP. But we're hoping soon. We will have announcements and trainings and all that, when we do get the application out, so everyone knows how to proceed with that. In the meantime, just making sure that you go on the GATA portal and make sure your ICQ is up to date and complete for fiscal year 2026. That's one thing you can do to be right with the application comes. We're still finalizing the vehicle inventories in Black Cat, so if you have been in there and noticed that there's an inventory section. We're still working on getting all of those items in. And then, as always with preventative maintenance, we're really kind of honing in on that. If you have any questions or want us to look at your preventative maintenance plans, please feel free to send those over. I know I've been reaching out to a number of agencies, trying to just kind of look at different preventive maintenance plans and see if we can use them up at all, just to help promote vehicle longevity and ensure that, you know, what we have out there can last as long as possible as well. And that is all.
I do owe you an email.
All right, go ahead, Craig.
We have a new app for our fixed route that will be live. It's actually live now, but I'm not promoting it to like make sure that there aren't any bugs with it. But we should be live with that by the end of August. So that'll be a good thing for college kids, especially in town. I'm working on about 4 service contracts right now, and then I've also applied, so will be Medicaid eligible.
That process.
It hasn't really been bad, but we haven't gotten a response from Medicaid yet, so that could be the other shoe that drops it, something as to what we need.
Hopefully it goes well. All right, Joe, got anything?
Yeah.
Greg?
Just for a week here, just again, our 50th anniversary coming up is this year, so that September 20th is going to be a spaghetti dinner and rides and tours and just a way to celebrate the impact on the community. So
Where is that going to be at?
it's going to be over in Morton. I'll shoot the information out to Remus so we can get some out to see folks out there.
Yeah, great. Tyler? All right, so now on one, and I'll just say your name and if you've got anything to say, let us know. Let's start with Audra Miles.
No updates.
Okay, how about Carrie Anderson?
Sorry, no update.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Andrew Davis.
Hello, this is my first meeting here. I'm actually the Transit Operations Program Manager for the north section of Illinois, and I think we're gonna be taking the baton from Melissa on HSTP. But nice meeting you, and hope to be at the next meeting.
Thank you. Where are you based? Is it Chicago?
Chicago.
All right, well, welcome. How about Don Cook? If you're talking, it looks like you're muted. Yeah, we're not hearing anything. If you're able to type anything, then I can read that message that comes in.
Hello,
Oh, there we go. Yep.
can you hear me now? This is Dawn.
Yes.
Did you say my name?
Yes. Do you have any
Okay.
updates or anything you want to share with the group?
I did host an informal PCOM meeting on July 15th, and we had 3 IDOT people attend as well, and it was really well received, and we're going to be having another one at the IPTA conference.
That's great. Okay, how about Shelley Entrigan?
No updates.
I'll go to our folks on the phone. How about Chris Mitchell?
Hi. Well, I attended the WOW event, and that was really a nice experience. And I had excellent service today, despite weather conditions and everything from City Lift. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, she was talking about the ADA WOW Disability Fair. So we had it here at Epic. It was just a couple weeks ago, and it went really well. Very positive. A lot of people came. And let's see, I think the last person on the phone is Jewel. You want to share anything about Anything you feel like for the group? And that Jewel is the new Washington Township Supervisor. She works directly with Jim Bremner, who's still officially on the committee. And they're both doing good work in Washington. Okay, did I miss anyone? All right, we're zoomed in for this meeting. So that is.
They saw what you did.
That was, yeah. That was number 5. All right, so now on to number 6. So this is my report. I've got a pretty short list of speaking topics here. So I guess I didn't allow Adam to talk, but let me bump back. Adam, do you want to share anything with the group?
I think the only thing is that Tri-County is going to start beginning work on a project in probably a month or so on trying to improve the Illinois 29 corridor from downtown Peoria up to Chillicothe, and that will include trying to make things safer for pedestrians, bicycle riders, people in cars, as well as better options for transit as well. So that will be going on for probably like a year and a half or 2 years or so.
I'll skip right over you. Okay, so another project that we have going on that is just starting is a bus stop accessibility plan. So this is, we applied a couple years back to the IDOT 5305 Transit Planning Grant Program. And we received a grant to do an inventory of all the fixed route bus stops in our area. So this is, it's just for CityLink and Peoria. And our GIS staff are going to every bus stop. They're documenting obvious things like, is there a shelter? Is there a bench? Is there a garbage can? But also sidewalks leading up to it. So if there's great amenities there, but you can't really get to them, then that's also of note. So a lot of documentation. This is going to last 2 years. So the data collection is happening mostly this year when the weather's nice. And ultimately, they're going to go through a prioritization process. So look at the ones that need the most assistance. And when we have our upcoming Section 5310 money that is available for the Peoria area, we could highlight those highest need areas for bus stops that need the most support. And also if there's any, I got a little bit of feedback here. Okay. So any kind of money that comes in to improve bus stops, then we'll be able to highlight the ones that we've found real data on that would make the most benefit. So that is exciting. That is a $200,000 grant. So we're very happy to have received that. And a couple of conferences I'll talk about. So in late June, I was able to go to, it's called the Transit Retreat. It is a national transit conference. And this year it was in Des Moines, Iowa. So every year they move around. I've never been to it, but I happen to have some money left in my budget for HSTP. So I was able to go. And I happen to be the only person from the whole state of Illinois. So I represent them, all of Illinois, and I hope that I did it well. But it's kind of a smaller conference. I met folks from Michigan and New York and Ohio and Iowa. And it was interesting to see how people do it a little bit differently everywhere. So just good conversations. Glad I went to that. And our next major state conference is the Illinois Public Transit Association IPTA conference is September 29th through October 1st. And this year it's in Champaign, so I'll be there too. And that is statewide, so hear what our statewide partners have to say and what they're working on. And I think that is everything that I have. So I will move on to others. Does anyone have anything else to bring up here?
shorter meeting today, that is no problem. So our next meeting is Tuesday, October 7th, so that's in 2 months, also at noon, also here, virtually and by phone. We'll, for the time being, we'll always have those options, and I do post this meeting on YouTube. If anyone wants to watch it after the fact, so I will keep doing that. So if there are no other comments, then last chance. All right, so I will adjourn the meeting at 12:43 PM. Thanks everyone for coming.
Oh.